Chapter 21 Ma's new story of disturbing public opinion is out of line, so be careful when looki. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ing at the list, Martial Mu, Chapter 20. Ma Xian, who stirs up public opinion, is out of line, so be careful when looking at the list. Soon, there have been a lot of news on the internet about the export of domestic players to domestic sales. On the Magwan Football forum account, an article titled, Genius, Benefit, Be Wary of the Inside Story of Exporting to Domestic Sales. This article, with the help of someone, quickly became the hot search for bibs. The content actually has nothing to do with Ye Luo, the previous content is normal. Just to describe a few cases, several small domestic players were signed by domestic teams at high prices after being operated by agents, through a certain degree of interest cooperation with European teams, packaged the small players of Dragon Kingdom, increase the value of small players, and even use a certain degree of tactical resource tilt in certain events to brush up data. As such, it is possible to promote the originally worthless young players from Longwa into geniuses, and find domestic teams to take advantage of them and spend huge transfer fees to buy them back. Similar cases are not uncommon, and it's all true. And at the end of the article, mentioned Ye Luo's reversal of public opinion and the abnormality of being selected for the squad against Real Madrid. As we all know, Ye Luo is called Dragon Kingdom Beckham by fans in China not because of his skills, but because of his appearance. It is true that in Dragon Kingdom, Ye Luo can be regarded as a young talented player, but his talent is not enough in European football. However, under such circumstances, he scored a hat-trick in the game against the Olympic Games, and he played against Malaga in the much-anticipated Real Madrid. Into the big list of the game in the battle. Why the Olympic team, why Real Madrid? How many times has Longwa football suffered this kind of loss? Maybe we should all be vigilant. In the article, it also didn't directly say that Ye Luo's entry into the squad in this game was a conspiracy to export to domestic sales, just pointed out the unreasonable part of it. It leaves a lot of room for the imagination of the readers. However, the previous cases are enough for readers to come up with a conspiracy theory. The hat-trick against the Olympic Games is a conspiracy. And it is also a conspiracy against Real Madrid's entry into the squad. It's really too hateful, too hateful. With the help of caring people, the turmoil of public opinion began to become muddy. Ye Luo's voice also appeared on the internet. After all, the forest is big and there are all kinds of birds. What's more, in this world, most people follow the crowd and don't think well. The 17-year-old Longwa player has entered the La Liga squad. The opponent is still Real Madrid. Do you believe it? What is the background of Ye Luo's family? I heard that the family is in business and is quite rich. Can I learn football without money? For a while, there are all kinds of remarks, truth and justice, thus covered and buried. Have to say, the Longwa Football Association is not good at football, but it is very good at people. I don't know where he learned this. However, the premise that they can get Ye Luo through this method is that Ye Luo is really just a passerby who fills up the big list. Who can imagine? Now Ye Luo is Malaga's secret weapon away from home. Is he the core player of the team's counterattack tactics? The roster for the game was announced 2 days before the game, so at the training base of Real Madrid at this time, inside coach Mourinho's office, what lies ahead is his next opponent's match list. Mourinho is undoubtedly a very cautious coach. Even though Malaga seems to have no real threat to Real Madrid, Mourinho's work is still done meticulously. Study your opponent, develop tactics, calm public opinion, a little bit of confidence and motivation for Real Madrid, a team that has just completed reconstruction. Before Mourinho took over, Real Madrid is dubbed the Champions League 16 Lang. They have the brightest lineup and the biggest stars in the world. It is also the team that has won the most championships in the history of the Champions League. However, it is such a team that has stopped in the top 16 of the Champions League for several consecutive years. In the domestic arena, they were also overwhelmed by rising rivals Barcelona, Guardiola's Cosmos, especially the last round of the league. At Camp Nou, Real Madrid suffered a humiliating defeat. They lost, cleanly to rival Barcelona in the away game. So this game, Mourinho emphasized in training these days, they have only one goal. Victory. And a big victory. Although the victory over Malaga is completely unable to make up for and restore the frustration of losing to Barcelona, but but at least it can show the determination of Real Madrid to the outside world, and this loss is not necessarily a bad thing. He will make Real Madrid stars realize that in order to defeat a terrible opponent, they need to unite around the coach Mourinho and implement the tactics of the coaching staff. The loss of that game, in fact, it was the going their own way of several stars that led to the overall collapse of tactics, so much so that it led to a humiliating defeat. So for Mourinho, in a way, the loss to Barcelona can actually be an opportunity for him to squeeze this team together, completely turn this luxurious team of all-star players into an army with strong combat effectiveness. He needs a fighter who can give it his all on the court, not a thick dude who cares about his hairspray, from this point on. He obviously has the support of the current Real Madrid dressing room, because they have a common enemy, Barcelona. And Mourinho also took advantage of this. In his later coaching career of Real Madrid, he also constantly used Barcelona to stimulate Real Madrid players, and constantly stimulated the fighting spirit and enthusiasm of Real Madrid players by creating greater antagonism between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Fighting spirit, this also became one of the important reasons for the break between Real Madrid's Spanish international and Mourinho. Ye Luo. Mourinho looked at this strange name, then he asked his assistant Kalanka. "Who is this guy?" Kalanka stared at the name, then looked at the back. "Okay. It's very strange. It should be the first youth training player entering Malaga's squad. Judging by the way the name is spelled, it should be an Oriental. East? People from the Dragon Kingdom." Mourinho pondered for a moment. Kalanka said, "Maybe this is just a promotion from the youth academy to fill the lineup, and we don't need to spend energy to pay attention." But a little guy who is probably from the Dragon Kingdom suddenly appeared in the La Liga field. "I am really curious. Why did he impress Pellegrini?" Mourinho said. He thought for a while, and said, "We shouldn't let go of any details. I want his information, all the information." Mourinho pointed to Ye Luo on the list and said loudly, "End of this chapter." Chapter 22. Guess the starter. Mu Niao Zan Yeluo, the Bernabéu newcomer shakes the duck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 21. Guess the starter. Mu Niao Zan Yeluo, the Bernabéu newcomer shocked Spain. Soon, Ye Luo's information was placed in front of Mourinho. It included a video of Ye Luo's game against the Longwa Olympic team. After reading Ye Luo's complete information, especially his ball-handling performance in the Longwa Olympic team, Mourinho was lost in thought. After a long time, pointing to the name, he said, "Cut out his video and send it to our defenders." Kalanka froze for a moment. "You think you will have a chance to play?" Mourinho turned to look at Kalanka and said, "I don't know what Pellegrini is thinking, but if it were me, guess what I would do?" The Portuguese marshal bought a pass. However, Kalanka did not wait for an answer. He took a deep breath and said, "I will let him start, and even develop tactics around him if I were the head coach of Malaga." The corner of Mourinho's mouth curled up, and he looked back at the screen in his office, replaying the scene of Ye Luo stopping the long pass. "I'll start him." Kalanka frowned. "Will he start? Pellegrini has the guts." "I don't know, but his current situation is actually similar to ours. We need to restore the team's confidence in this game, and if they don't win as soon as possible, Pellegrini's coaching position will not be stable." Mourinho shrugged. "Emphasize with our players that our opponent in this game is likely to be this little guy. Time flies by. Soon it will be game day." The day before the game, the Malaga team arrived in Madrid and checked into a hotel in Madrid not too far from the Bernabéu. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, 2 hours before the game, the team woke up from their lunch break and boarded the bus to the Bernabéu. As usual, on the bus, the team's head coach Manuel Pellegrini announced the 11-man starting lineup for the game. The goalkeeper position is Captain Arnaud. There is no suspense in the combination of central defenders. 2 local players, Manu Torres and Ivan Gonzalez, are partnered. The left back is the Portuguese player Lozario. The right back is local player Gasper. Midfield, 2 defensive midfielders, Juanito and Aponio guard the center. As for the 2 fullbacks, on the left is Elasu, a Portuguese player who can run up and down, and has excellent physical fitness. Sandro Silva from Brazil, for defenders. For midfielders. In this way, there are only 2 positions left for the forward line. Forward, Edinho. Pellegrini's words fell, with 11 starters, there is only one spot left, all eyes turned to Ye Luo, really, Pellegrini's next words were, yellow, although it was expected, but after hearing Pellegrini announce that a starting striker position belongs to him, Ye Luo still couldn't help heaving a sigh of relief, and then grinned, La Liga. I am coming. Ding! Congratulations on completing the main mission, entering the starting list of the first team. You get a mission reward, Fusion Point *3, B-level random treasure chest *1. In the congratulations of everyone, Ye Luo opened the B-level treasure chest. Ding! Congratulations on getting the item, shooting boots, class B, props, shooting boots, grade B, effect. The shooting line is automatically corrected by 10 cm in the direction of the 10-point angle. The 10-point angle refers to the right angle between the goal beam and the post, and the right angle between the post and the lawn. Durability, 2 halves, 1 match consumes a little durability, good stuff. Unfortunately, only available for 2 games, Ye Luo shook his head regretfully. There are 3 fusion points, which can be merged just once. After fusion, the fusion progress of the 3 SS level templates, 37%. Next should be a new main task, is it to score the first La Liga goal? In Ye Luo's expectation, the system brushed out the main task. Main task, defeat Real Madrid in this round of the league. Task reward, Fusion Point *6, A-level random treasure chest *1. Task failure penalty, suspend the issuance of system main tasks and side tasks for 1 month, and the task system will be closed for 1 month. Ye Luo had a question mark on his face, beat Real Madrid? Ciao Nima system, you are a real dog. With the announcement of the match list, the team's bus also slowly drove into Real Madrid's home stadium, the Santiago Bernabéu stadium. Let alone this stadium, Ye Luo came to play games, haven't even seen it live. This is one of the most famous football stadiums in the football world. The stadium is named after Real Madrid legend Santiago Bernabéu. Haven't gotten off the bus yet, Ye Luo could feel the vibration of the stadium, the Bernabéu, which can accommodate more than 8 people, was not full in this game. This is the protest of Real Madrid fans against Real Madrid's big loss to Barcelona in the last round of the league. Real Madrid fans are very demanding. When their team does not perform well, they will not hesitate to boo them. Therefore, according to the official statistics before the game, more than 6 fans came, but even so, the momentum created by more than 6 fans is also huge enough. After entering the visiting team's locker room, assistant coach Maloska began to yell loudly. Quick, quick! Change clothes, change equipment, go out and warm up. Warm up your body. At the urging of the assistant coach, Ye Luo also put on the warm-up clothes and sneakers in an orderly manner, along with the other 17 players on the team, through the tunnel at the Bernabéu, into the Bernabéu stadium. Boom! The moment you set foot on the football field, the sound waves seemed to vibrate the air and hit the chest cavity. Ye Luo took a deep breath. What is a big stage? This is the big stage. An hour before the game, inside the Bernabéu press hall, everyone is waiting for the 2 sides to announce their starting rosters. The first to be released is Real Madrid starter, no big surprise, goalkeeper Iker Casillas, center-back combination Pepe partner Ramos, left-back Marcelo, right-back Arbeloa, double midfielder is Khedira partner Harvey Alonso. The choice of front midfielder is the German players are beggars, and Mr. Golden Ball Kaká can only sit on the bench. On the forward line, there are Ronaldo, Higuaín and Di Maria on the left, center and right. An extremely luxurious lineup. Don't talk about starting, look at their subs. Kaká, Benzema, Carvalho, Los Diera, Gago. This is the lineup thickness of the Galaxy battleship. In Malaga, it seems too shabby. The players in front were not much of a surprise. The only accident, all the reporters were staring at that name, 41, Ye Luo. Who is Ye Luo? Immediately, this is the unanimous question of all Spanish journalists. This is such a strange name. Why does it appear in the starting lineup facing a supergiant like Real Madrid? End of this chapter. Chapter 23. Looking forward to rebounding. Malaga fans have no hope, and it is difficult to turn Ye Luo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. O's national team career to an end. Chapter 22. Hope to bounce back. Malaga fans have no hope. It is difficult to turn Ye Luo's national team career to an end. Pfft. The reporter of Aspen newspaper, Ronaldinho, burst out laughing. The reporters in the news hall all looked at this well-known reporter from Aspen News. Is there no one in Malaga? 17 years old, native of Longwa, has never played in a professional team. What? Lolitos sneered. What is Pellegrini going to do with such a little guy? To humiliate Real Madrid? It's unreasonable. The Spanish reporters present shook their heads. This roarist is really a mad dog. Pellegrini has already dismissed get out of class, and he still bites on him. When Pellegrini was in charge of Real Madrid last season, the reporter from Aspen was Pellegrini's #1 opponent. The grievances between the two sides are not small. Now Ye Luo has at best suffered a catastrophe. It is conceivable that the reporter of the Aspen newspaper did not want to see good things about Ye Luo in his article, but what is Pellegrini thinking about sending a 17-year-old kid on the field against an opponent like Real Madrid? Strategic abandonment? Unlikely. Pellegrini was a bit unhappy when he was fired last season. How could he easily concede defeat at the Bernabéu? Perhaps Pellegrini thinks this guy can perform in front of a defense line consisting of Ramos, Pepe, Marcelo and Arbeloa. A local reporter in Madrid spread his hands and said, this remark caused many Madrid people present to sneer frivolously. The faces of the reporters from Malaga instantly became ugly. It is really uncomfortable for a big club to be condescending. However, they have nothing to say now. Real Madrid substitute is Kite. And Malaga can only take out an unknown soldier from the youth academy when there is a shortage of forwards. This is the difference between Real Madrid and Malaga. Some Malaga reporters showed some disappointment on their faces. Someone comforted him. There's nothing to be disappointed about. This is the Bernabéu anyway, isn't it? Yes, this is the Bernabéu. The reporter, who is also a Malaga fan, had a bitter smile on his face. Malaga and Real Madrid have played 71 times in history, and the number of wins can be counted on the fingers. Only 3 times, all at home, lost 59 of them, and drew 8 games. This is still the record of all the fights, and on the road. Malaga have only drawn against Real Madrid on the road twice, lost 31 games. Perhaps no one will remember what happened to a small team like Malaga at the Bernabéu, but for the Malaga fans, lost at the Bernabéu, it's just an ordinary memory among countless losses. Even losing to Real Madrid, for a small club like Malaga, in fact, there is nothing unacceptable. Okay. The Malaga reporter shook his head. I was just fantasizing about Pellegrini before the game. 0.4 rounds winless. Malaga fans are looking forward to a rebound, but now it seems, counting on a strong rebound against Real Madrid at the Bernabéu. It's really a bit too whimsical. If the Spanish journalists in the press hall were only curious about Ye Luo's first appearance, they were curious. That's in the Dragon Kingdom fan circle. Ye Luo started, just an earthquake, a tsunami. Yellow started against Real Madrid. Fuck. F***CK. The #1 Longwa player in history who played against Real Madrid in an official game. Oh my god. Didn't some self-media accounts say that Ye Luo's entry into the big list was a bought spot 2 days ago? What a bitch. It was the ID of Maguan Football who said it first. I know this. Maguan Football is Ma's new one. What a fucking new horse. It's better than writing anything as long as you get paid. It seems that the Football Association is looking for someone. Hey Ye Luo, what a hatred and hatred. The Football Association is such a scumbag. Maybe it's not good to do football, just do these things. To say the most dumbfounded right now, it was Ma Ningxin who was sitting at his desk, watching the news from ahead of the game. There are no strong dialogues between the giants this weekend. Therefore, the games of big giants like Real Madrid must be the focus of major media attention. The first time it came out, Ma Ningxin is paying attention, although football news focuses on domestic football, but now the Chinese Super League season is over, so football news also pays attention to international football news. The result was when I saw the start of this game, Ma Ningxin was dumbfounded. He thought of how hard he had been working so hard these days. Even his own real name bib account has come to an end. Pouring dirty water on Ye Luo, completely lowered the bottom line of the 3rd or 4th floor underground, and lowered it to the 18th floor again. The reason why he worked so hard, it is to offset the positive impact of Ye Luo's selection in Malaga's squad for the game on the domestic football world. According to the Football Association's instructions, Ye Luo cannot have a positive image, and as the only seedling of Dragon Country players in the 5 major leagues, Ye Luo's influence on domestic fans will be huge, under these circumstances. In order to balance the impact of this matter, of course, Ma Dexin had to use all his strength to completely confuse public opinion. Have to say, Ma's new writing level is very high. If you are not high, you can't be a well-known reporter. But, when this first list comes out, in the past 2 days, the new performances of horses, they've all turned into clowns. He really didn't expect that Ye Luo could really start the game. Although domestic fans are easily influenced by media reports, but they are not fools. No matter what, Malaga is also a La Liga team. The dignified La Liga team sells the starting spot. It's just a joke. After all, not all football in all countries are as bottomless as the gang in Longwa football. At the same time, at the FA headquarters, the general manager of the FA, Program Yuan, was about to be blown up. In the past few days, what he paid most attention to was Ye Luo's affairs. In the case of live TV in Spain, he was slapped by a brat. What a shame and humiliation for the source of the program who has come to this position from a port worker. I thought it was just a small ant. He was crushed to death casually, but now, the more this kid jumps around, the more famous he becomes. A program source is a program source after all. People have seen a lot of strong winds and waves. Although my heart is very angry, but his face only changed slightly. He knows, this Ye Luo, regardless of the performance against Real Madrid, it's dark for now. He quickly instructed Ma's new mouthpiece to keep a low profile for the time being, stop stimulating public opinion, but that doesn't mean he gave up. Program Yuan now completely hates Ye Luo. No national team can want such a player. In addition, the Football Association will organize a review meeting to expel Ye Luo from the Olympic team, and conduct a comprehensive review of why the Olympic team recruits a thorny head like Ye Luo into the team. Learn from the national team, women's national team, and local football associations at all levels. Program Yuan calmly drove Ye Luo's future in Longwa football into the hell. He wants to regard Ye Luo as a typical example of disorganization and discipline and conduct a comprehensive criticism within the football system. In this case, no matter how well Ye Luo plays in the future, there is no possibility of entering the national team anymore. His official status has been completely blackened. End of this chapter. Chapter 24. Mu sees through Real Madrid and hopes for a big victory, and Ye Luo shows his confidence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When he refuses to admit defeat. Chapter 23. Mu sees through Real Madrid and hopes for a big victory, and Ye Luo shows confidence in the stand. When the Real Madrid players returned from warm-up, they saw their coach Mourinho quite proud. The players looked at each other, and they all saw admiration from their faces. When Mourinho saw the opponent's 18-man roster, he made the judgment that the Dragon Country player named Ye Luo would be very likely to start, and also analyzed the characteristics of Ye Luo and his game video. The players didn't think that Pellegrini had the courage to suddenly put a 17-year-old player in the Bernabéu to face Real Madrid, but it turns out, Mourinho is right. This gave the Real Madrid players a great psychological hint. The opponent is a poisonous snake trying to conceal the ultimate move. But their ultimate move was seen through by their own head coach, so the opponent will lose this game. Their pre-match arrangement has been seen through. It's their secret weapon. Mourinho pouted and said, his expression was full of sarcasm and conceit. It seems that Pellegrini's careful arrangement has become the biggest joke in front of him. This made the Real Madrid players couldn't help laughing. The home team locker room is full of cheerful atmosphere. Real Madrid's generals are in a good mood. The haze of the defeat at Camp Nou 2 weeks ago seems to have been blown away a lot. See the players smile. Mourinho laughed too. He does not think that Malaga has any ability to threaten Real Madrid. As far as this game is concerned, if it is said that there must be some surprises, that must be because of Real Madrid's own problems. And now, when smiles appeared on the faces of Real Madrid stars, Malaga has no chance at all. As long as these stars show 1% of their talents on the court, it is enough to easily defeat their opponents. Thought here. Mourinho's face became serious. Of course I know that our opponent in today's game is not a strong team. I shouldn't be demanding anything from you when facing such an opponent. Mourinho paused for a while, waiting for the Real Madrid players to restrain their smiles, he continued, "The last round of the league was a shame to us. This shame can only be washed away by ourselves. Fortunately, we still have the opportunity to face them at home." They did not refer to Malaga, of course, but Real Madrid's sworn enemy, Barcelona. "I really fucking want to face them in this game." Cristiano Ronaldo clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and a ferocious expression appeared on his handsome face. Mourinho is very satisfied with Ronaldo's attitude. "But it's a pity that we have to wait for more than a dozen league rounds before we can meet them again. Before that, what we have to do is to suppress the desire for revenge in our hearts. We must ensure that we will not fall behind when we face them at home. We must beat them at home, overtake them at home." Mourinho clenched his fists and shouted. The Real Madrid players were breathing heavily. This made Karanka, who was behind Mourinho, apologize to Pellegrini. In his heart it was a bit too much. Facing an opponent like Malaga, Mourinho would still put his players they agitated like this, but Karanka also understands, because, in this game, Real Madrid needs a big victory. A hearty victory. At the same time, in the visiting team locker room, Malaga's players also returned to their seats. The starting players are making their final preparations. Put on the jersey, put on the socks, sneakers, insert the shin pads. The same is true for Ye Luo. This game is so important to him. This is his professional league debut. And it's a first show that can't be lost. If you can't win, the task system will be closed for 2 months. This is the ending that Ye Luo will never endure anyway. He is going to win. Put on the B-level prop shooting boots, inserted the C-rank prop bare leg guards, do everything possible to improve your strength. When all players are ready, at this time, there are still 10 minutes left before the game starts. Snapped. Crisp applause sounded. Coach Manuel Pellegrini came to the center of the locker room. Everyone went quiet. They know, the head coach is going to do the final mobilization before the battle. For most players in Malaga, they will not give up the game. But they also know that it is difficult to beat Real Madrid. Everyone knows that Ye Luo is very powerful, but no one knows whether Ye Luo can perform well in this kind of situation. This game is a gamble for Malaga. Fortunately though, even if the bet is lost, it's no big deal because no one will ask Malaga to beat Real Madrid. This is so unrealistic. I know what you're thinking. Isn't it crazy that we want to beat Real Madrid at the Bernabéu? Pellegrini said. But there are so many crazy things in this world. Why can't we dream of doing something crazy? Beating Real Madrid may be the best game of your career. Just for this, go all out, isn't it worth it? Also, isn't our hard work these days just for today's game? With Pellegrini's words fell, all eyes turned to Ye Luo. The key to winning is, be able to defend and score goals. Defensive words. In Malaga's game, there are 10 players defending with all their strength. And Ye Luo, his only task is to use his personal ability to attack and challenge Real Madrid's defenders, whether it's Ramos, Pepe, or Marcelo, Arbeloa, he must overcome them. The more impact he has, the less pressure there is on Malaga's other players. If he can help the team score goals, whether he scores by himself or uses his personal ability to attract defenses and then give assists to his striker partner Edinho, then the probability of Malaga winning this game will become slightly higher. He saw that everyone's eyes were on him. Ye Luo stood up with a bang. Pellegrini was taken aback. He hasn't finished yet, but Ye Luo didn't notice this. He was a little angry, because he felt that his teammates seemed to be too afraid of Real Madrid. Everyone, I know how powerful the opponent we are facing in this game, how famous they are, and how luxurious their lineup is. Yellow's Spanish is much more fluent than it was 2 weeks ago. But why should we be afraid of them? I think they should be afraid. They lost, to Barcelona 2 weeks ago. Ye Luo stretched out 5 fingers. They conceded 5 goals. 5. So everyone knows what they want to do in this game. They can't beat Barcelona, so they want to trouble us in this game to vent their aggrieved hearts. But fuck it. Why should we be their punching bags? Are they angry? Do I still have it? I want to make them unable to vent their anger, just to make them feel uncomfortable and unable to ejaculate. Ye Luo made a hip thrust. The people present immediately burst into laughter, but in the meanwhile, their fear of Real Madrid disappeared in such laughter. End of this chapter. Chapter 25. Is this necessary? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 24. Is this necessary? Everyone laughed when they saw it. Ye Luo was also extremely excited. Guys, this game is my first show, I don't want to screw it up, I want to get the most delicious fruit in this game, so. Please everyone. If you win this game, I ask everyone eat Chinese food. Absolutely authentic Chinese food. Ye Luo patted his chest and promised, he's not low on EQ. It's not that they don't know how to pull relationships, but for some matters related to principle, Ye Luo's character is really not able to go along with it. Driven by Ye Luo, everyone's emotions and fighting spirit were also raised. What are you talking about? This is our game too. Give it your all, lad. Are you questioning my sportsmanship? After you say that, I suddenly want to win at the Bernabéu. It's really unpleasant to be treated like a punching bag. That everyone expressed their opinions. Fuck them. Ye Luo shouted, then Captain Arnaud also stood up, let them hold back. Let them hold back, that everyone shouted, then he walked out of the locker room with high spirits and walked to the arena. A somewhat confused head coach and assistant coach were left behind. Wait for the players to leave. Pellegrini thought about his pre-war preparations. It seems that it is not as good as what Ye Luo said. It seems that my preparation was for nothing, but as long as it works. He smiled and said to his assistant Maraska, honestly speaking, this is the first time I have seen a 17-year-old player perform like this before the game in his career debut. Malaska nodded and said, very good pre-match mobilization, the little guy has the potential to be the captain of a team. When players from both sides appear in the player channel, the Real Madrid players turn their heads frequently to look at the 17-year-old Longo boy, to be affirmed by Mourinho, this kid must have some ability. Real Madrid players all had a hint of playfulness on their faces. Poor little guy, he must be holding back to surprise us right now, just that you've been spotted by our foxy head coach, this is really unlucky for you. Soon, players from both sides play. The moment Ye Luo stepped out of the court, he couldn't help looking around. This is the Bernabéu. Before this, he has never been here. Now that he came to this world-renowned stadium, Ye Luo could see the curiosity and amazement in his eyes, which made the players of Real Madrid feel a little suspicious. Is this little guy as powerful as Mourinho said? Stop looking. Behind Ye Luo, his strike partner Adinho patted Ye Luo on the shoulder, embarrassed by his teammate's somewhat bumpkin behavior. Ye Luo whispered as he walked, this is the first time I've come to the Bernabéu. If you stay in La Liga, you can come here at least once a year. This is just one of the stadiums of La Liga teams. It's not a big deal. Adinho said. That's right. Ye Luo turned his head and looked ahead. Curiosity about the Bernabéu suddenly seemed to disappear. I'm here to fight, not to travel, Ye Luo thought. When both players shake hands, Real Madrid defender Arbeloa also patted Ye Luo on the shoulder with a bit of sympathy on his face. Ye Luo mainly played on the left side, and he happened to face Arbeloa. Although Ye Luo and Adinho played double forwards in this game, the position will not be fixed on the left side, but according to Ye Luo's playing habits, he will lean more to the left. Therefore, Arbeloa is likely to face Ye Luo in this game. What a poor guy, his debut is likely to end in bitterness, and when the players on both sides are fighting in their respective positions, the camera's lens locked onto Ye Luo. The handsome young man stood in the line with his head held high. Friends from the audience. This is Ye Luo. He is about to play for Malaga, and he will set a record, the youngest player from the Dragon Kingdom to play in the 5 major leagues. The voice of Duan Xian, the commentator of the national TV station, sounded. The game is about to start. If there is anything worthy of attention among the opponents of Real Madrid in this game, this 17-year-old young player who is about to make his professional debut, Ye Luo from Longwa, may be the biggest player in this game. Variable. Andres Montes, a narrator for Corp TV, said aloud, to pick a side. The head coaches of both sides shook hands. Cheers suddenly sounded from the stands. The hustle and bustle of game day, it's all intertwined. Ye Luo, who was in it, felt as if the pores all over his body had been opened. The lights at the Bernabéu were soft and not glaring at all. He raised his head and looked towards the stadium. The body is trembling slightly. He's not nervous, but excited. Such a stage should be the stage that a player pursues. Real Madrid fans wave white flags. In the stands of the spectacular Bernabéu, Real Madrid singing resounded through the stadium. I want to conquer this place. Ye Luo thought. Dinho stepped on the ball, chattering in his mouth. Later, pass more balls, ask for more balls, run more, be patient. Our opponent is Real Madrid. We will be the first to steal the ball. Later time will find you. If not, keep the ball and I will come up to support. Dinho is also kind. The Portuguese striker doesn't score many goals, but he is an honest man in the locker room, hardworking and conscientious. I have also stayed in Malaga for some years, and the previous head coaches like to use him, whether it is the main force or the substitute. Without him, the Portuguese striker is obedient, has good physical strength, and can faithfully execute tactics. Yes, Eden, Ye Luo said, but his eyes were always fixed on the Real Madrid goal. With the whistle of the referee, Dinho lifts the ball to Ye Luo, who passes it back to midfield. Then he ran forward with his head covered. At the same time, Real Madrid's players also pressed up quickly, and they were going to use the high pressure in the midfield to regain the ball. With the ball back to the feet of central defender Ivan Gonzalez, Real Madrid striker Higuain has reached the front. Cristiano Ronaldo on the other side, and Di Maria on the right, are like tigers descending downhill. Real Madrid's players showed an amazing level of devotion to the game in the first place. Corb TV commentator Andres Montes said loudly, Ivan Gonzalez looked up and looked ahead, but after roughly seeing Ye Luo's direction, he kicked the ball out with his big foot. The football crossed a parabola in the air and fell in front of Ye Luo's running position, and at the same time, Averoa and Khedira have also quickly approached Ye Luo. This scene made Pellegrini frown. To deal with a 17-year-old player, it is necessary for the defensive midfielder and the defender to attack. He looked at Mourinho. I only saw a faint smile on the corner of the Portuguese marshal's mouth. This smile is really annoying, thought Pellegrini. He turned to look up front. The brows tightened even more. End of this chapter. Chapter 26. You think you take it seriously, but you actually underestimate it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 25. You think you value it, but you underestimate it. Ye Luo turned his head to look at the flying football, and then at Averoa and Khedira, who rushed towards him like pincers, worthy of being a top star. Ye Luo thought, you are so serious about dealing with a nobody like me. Ye Luo originally thought that the Real Madrid players might underestimate the enemy at the beginning and not care about themselves. At that time, I can use this to make some articles. For example, just now Ye Luo was thinking that if Averoa came alone, he could use his speed to force Averoa directly, and he could directly enter the penalty area by rushing over. If Arbeloa reaches out and pulls a foul, then he has a high probability of getting a yellow card. The opponent's right back received a yellow card at the beginning of the game, which was too much for him, but did not expect. The opponent's attitude towards the game is very serious. He didn't relax at all because he was a nobody. Seeing this, Ye Luo suddenly slowed down. Then he jumped up, stretched out his foot to hook the ball, and when Ye Luo landed, the football had already landed firmly under his feet. Beautiful stop! The commentators exclaimed. Ye Luo's first touch is quite beautiful, the ball is very stable, and his sense of the ball is very good. And it seems that even in the face of Averoa, he does not have much fear. Duan Xian also in admiration. This stop is very difficult. Neither Averoa nor Khedira thought that Ye Luo would choose to use such a difficult movement to stop the ball, and he stopped so steadily, they were a little taken aback. But they reacted quickly. Arbeloa quickly stepped up, lowered his center of gravity, and did not step out immediately, but kept a distance of about 1 meter, with his body slightly sideways, ready to step forward and steal the ball at any time. Pushing forward, preparing to push Ye Luo towards the sideline, while Khedira was stuck inside, waiting for an opportunity to double-team the opponent with Averoa. Ye Luo found that there was no chance of a direct breakthrough, so he dunked the ball towards the center, approaching Dinho and Malaga's midfielder Juanito. Averoa and Khedira also moved towards the middle. At this time, Ye Luo chose to cross. Then he suddenly moved forward. Dinho understood it, and sent the ball to the left without stopping the ball to send a pick pass. Let Ye Luo go to race against Averoa. Compared with Avero, what is Ye Luo's biggest advantage? Of course that's his speed. Although Ye Luo was prepared, he was still taken aback by Ye Luo's speed. He didn't have time to reach out and foul, so he gritted his teeth and chased wildly. Ye Luo. Speed! Duan Xian exclaimed. At the Bernabéu stadium, the fans of the home team also exclaimed. The Malaga fans who came to the visiting team suddenly burst into warm cheers. Ye Luo's pass is actually not easy to stop. High, floating, and spinning, Ye Luo turned his body sideways during the running process, adjusted his pace, and lifted his left foot slightly. The football landed on the instep of his left foot, and it suddenly seemed to be glued, and it fell obediently along Ye Luo's left foot. The moment the football landed, Ye Luo suddenly wanted to tilt his body to the left. The instep of the left foot flicked the ball, and the ball flashed past Ye Luo, and cut the penalty area inside. Ye Luo. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to stop the ball and pass people. Ye Luo's pass is not easy for ordinary people just to stop, let alone pass people. Duan Xian had just finished this commentary. Before he could change his breath, his whole body tensed up, his hands clenched into fists, and he suddenly leaned forward. In the monitor screen, Ye Luo adjusted his pace, his whole body tensed like a bow. This is to shoot directly. Ye Luo turned his head, his eyes closed. Stop and go and shoot. This is already thought up. Ye Luo felt a bit of strong uneasiness in his heart. His opponent's shot action reminded him of a man. That person's name just came to mind. There was a bang. The football goes up into the air. Coach Cite, Mourinho, who always seemed to have everything under control, stood up from his seat on the corner of his mouth, staring intently at the field. A cold back. This little guy himself thought that he could do nothing in such a field when he was fully prepared, but now it seems, I underestimated him too much. I come. As soon as the voice of Real Madrid central defender Ramos fell, he saw a white light across the air from the football. Ramos' expression changed drastically. When Ye Luo was passed, he had already left his position to defend, and at the same time signaled Khedira, who returned to defend, to fill his position. That roar was directed at Khedira. It is normal for defensive players to complement each other. Moreover, Ye Luo was on the left side, and Real Madrid got the ball on the right side of the penalty area. At this time, everything went forward. Even if Ye Luo passed, it was only near the right side of the Real Madrid penalty area, and the angle was not big, and Real Madrid's defense system has not been mobilized. Even Malaga's side has no one to penetrate the penalty area and disrupt the opponent's defense, so Real Madrid's defense is still quite solid. It seems that Ye Luo can only pass back in addition to forcing the passer to create chaos in the penalty area, but surprisingly Ye Luo stopped and took a step, and after a step inside, he directly kicked and shot at the angle that was not too big. This ball comes together. Ramos felt bad. He immediately leaped vigorously, stretching his neck to complete the interception. But the football flew past the tip of his hair, leaving only a gust of wind behind. Cassie is also very focused. His position is slightly closer to the right of the goal, which is to the left of Ye Luo's attacking direction. The body is also tense and ready to make a save at any time. In his eyes, the soccer ball shot by Ye Luo first soared high into the sky, and then suddenly fell down. In the process of falling, it was still erratic. The football barely spins. Elevator ball. Cassie jumped suddenly, stretched out his hand, and stretched his body to the extreme. The fingertips rubbed the ball slightly, but football has barely changed direction. Cassie turned his head to look in the air. I only saw a small bend in the football outwards. I breathed a sigh of relief. I saw that the football suddenly turned inward when it seemed to be flying out of the bottom line against the far post. This is unreasonable. Cassie fell into an ice cave. Bang. The loud sound is clearly visible. The Bernabéu was dead silent. Everyone heard the sound of the football hitting the post. The Real Madrid fans at the scene didn't care about the aristocratic demeanor, and stretched their necks to watch. The soccer ball flicked, landing, then bounce up again, hit the top net. The ball is in. End of this chapter. Chapter 27. He is handsome and shoots hard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cassie landed and patted the turf angrily. One of the most famous goalkeepers of our time. It's not that Saint Cassie has never been entered into the world wave, but there really isn't anything as weird as this ball. Without any warning, a small turn turned the football, which was about to brush the post and pass the bottom line, into the goal. Is it windy on the field? Impossible. This is the Bernabéu. How could it be windy here? Casillas was a little confused, his defensive teammates were even more confused, Ramos and Pepe were almost dumbfounded, two contemporary central defenders who can rank at least in the top 10 in the world, on the premise that the secret weapon to face the opponent has been prepared before the game, still scored in less than 1 minute. When Ye Luo turned around, he saw the back of Ye Luo shooting, he opened his mouth, but didn't say a word, to his embarrassment that he couldn't even find an excuse for himself to underestimate the enemy, because before that, he defended Ye Luo with the attitude of defending the world's top forwards, but even so, he was still shocked by Ye Luo's speed. This is also normal, because neither Mourinho nor Real Madrid players expected Ye Luo's speed to be so fast. Before that, Ye Luo's speed was only used to bully Long Guoguai, and now, his speed is definitely at the top of football, first of all, because he is already very fast, and speed is the characteristic of his survival on the court, and after he superimposed Ye Luo's starting speed, his starting speed has directly climbed to the top level in football. In addition, Ye Luo didn't have the ball at his feet, so when Ye Luo didn't take the first foul, his speed could only be caught behind Ye Luo, what made Real Madrid's defense unthinkable was that a player who has just stepped into the professional game will choose to shoot directly from an area with a small angle. Played quite decisively, quite confidently. All Real Madrid players are staring at the ball bouncing in the net. Cristiano Ronaldo squinted, he saw Ye Luo shoot in the frontcourt. This guy's shooting action. Is it imitating me? Cristiano Ronaldo rubbed his chin and thought, at this moment, almost all Real Madrid fans are rubbing their eyes, their butts aren't hot yet. The football was blasted into his own goal. At this time, the game has just passed less than 1 minute. Real Madrid fell behind, expected this game to be an easy carnage. Who can think of Malaga didn't seem to have anything to fight back. Actually gave Real Madrid a shot at the beginning, when the Real Madrid fans were in a daze. The originally calm Malaga fans jumped up from the visiting team's fan area, cheers resounded through the stadium. In front of the giant, David roared. Ye Luo watched the football fly into the goal. I just felt a shock all over my body, and my blood was rushing up. The whole world seems to be left with this one stadium. Pro League, first goal. Ye Luo didn't even think about how to celebrate when he was thrown to the ground by a Dinho who rushed up. Pretty. Followed by its other Malaga players. This ball is too beautiful, too uplifting. This proved to them that Ye Luo is a player who can definitely pose a great threat to Real Madrid's defense. His individual ability is too strong. He is in the frontcourt, and one person is enough to contain Real Madrid's entire defense. What does this mean? It means that when Malaga is defending, the pressure it faces will be relatively much less. If Real Madrid's defenders are allowed to come up unscrupulously to participate in the offense and increase the number of offenses, it is almost impossible for Malaga to defend. They have no advantage against Real Madrid's players one-on-one, so this goal is of great significance. It wasn't just about giving Malaga the lead, more importantly, this gave Malaga players hope. Hope to win this game. All the Malaga players pressed on, played hits in Real Madrid's penalty area. They were surrounded by Real Madrid players who had reacted. The expressions of the Real Madrid players have returned to calm, because it was just a conceded goal, although unexpected, but it's no big deal. This is the Bernabéu. They still have 10 minutes to complete the overtake. This is the confidence of the Giants. They are not afraid of conceding the ball so early. Just now, boos all over the place. Real Madrid fans booed wildly, didn't know they were Ye Luo who booed the goal, or the Real Madrid players at the stadium. Because some radical Real Madrid fan group said before the game, conceding 5 goals at the new camp is a huge shame for Real Madrid, and all the players in that game were sinners. So now when the boos sound, many Real Madrid players looked up at the stands. No way, who let Real Madrid fans have the tradition of booing their team, just as Real Madrid fans booed everywhere. In the Far East, in Dragon Country, the fans who followed the game were also excited, and even many Real Madrid fans were also excited about Ye Luo's goal. There is no other reason, just because Ye Luo is from the Dragon Kingdom. When he was at the darkest moment in Longwa football, it seemed as if a ray of light burst out from the dark clouded sky, giving the fans of Longwa who were almost suffocating to death a glimmer of hope. Hope, what a precious thing. Goal. Beautiful. 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 Beautiful goal. Beautiful debut. Duan Xian, the commentator of Longwa National TV, was also excited like never before. Averoa can't catch up with Ye Luo's speed at all. This is Ye Luo's biggest feature. He has brought his speed to the extreme in La Liga. He caught up with the ball, he caught up with hope, he caught up with own future. Ye Luo announced his entry into the professional league with a goal. This is his starting point. Just keep running like this. Ye Luo. Come on. Duan Xian was shouting. On the internet, the fans were also cheering. Beautiful. Damn it, elevator ball. Honey. Come out and see God. Overbearing. Too overbearing. The roster you bought? My Chow Nima is so new. Nima, come and buy a goal like this. Chow Nima's Football Association, review. Review you. This way of playing football is so eye-catching. I have to say, even excluding the fact that he is a Dragon Country player, I can easily fall in love with him. Of course, he is handsome and shoots fiercely. For a while, the picture of Ye Luo scoring a goal soon became a moving picture and video, which was widely spread on the internet. The game has just started, and the carnival of the Dragon Country fans has already entered the Imperial Court. End of this chapter. Chapter 28 Kite with a broken string. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ye Luo shot. Beautiful. 1-0. Malaga has taken the lead. The goal is a young player from their youth academy, Ye Luo from Dragon Kingdom. Corb TV commentator Andres Montes chanted, at this time, Ye Luo's goal was being watched from different angles on the TV screen. Andres Montes was flipping through the documents. After a while, he pressed the headset and said, this is the fastest goal so far this season. The time to score is 24 seconds. Ye Luo set a record in La Liga this season. The starting striker of Malaga, the 17-year-old Longwa player Ye Luo scored a very beautiful goal. He and his striker partner Edinho completed a 2-for-1 cooperation. With his own speed, he left Abeloa behind, and then used a beautiful stop and pass to complete an inside cut and then connected a groundbreaking shot. This line, this angle, this speed of the ball. There is no solution. Even standing in front of the goal at St. Cassie. Welcome to La Liga. Enjoy the moment that belongs to you. Young man from the Dragon Kingdom. Sidelines, Mourinho has regained his composure. He frowned. It's a bit of a hassle, Karanka said beside him. Mourinho did not look back, but nodded and said, to be honest, we still underestimated this young man, but fortunately, the game time is still very long. Need an adjustment? No. It's just a conceded goal. Just a conceded goal. This is the confidence of Real Madrid. It is also Mourinho's self-confidence. Needless to say, Real Madrid, they have so many big-name players, no one would think that they can't break Malaga's goal at their home court, and Mourinho's confidence lies in his terrifying, unbeaten record at home for 8 years. 2-0-0-2-2-2-3-2-3. Mourinho has remained unbeaten at home for 8 consecutive years. This record spans the Portuguese Super League, Premier League, Serie A, and now La Liga, the 4 major leagues. Mourinho, who led the team to fight at home, has not encountered the situation of conceding the ball first, but in the end his team will equalize or overtake. According to Mourinho, the same is true for this game, just a small disturbance in an ordinary home game. The problem is not big, everything is still under control, and in Mourinho's view, this conceded goal also has an element of luck. Let Ye Luo go to that position to complete 100 shots, and the number of times he can break through. The goal handled by Casillas will definitely not exceed 1 finger, no fuss needed. He believes Real Madrid stars can handle the little pressure. These stars have also withstood various tests, experienced hundreds of high-intensity games, and became world-class stars under great pressure. If there's a lot of fuss and yelling just because of a dropped ball, isn't it a little too contemptuous of the adaptability of these stars? Not to mention, in Mourinho's view, the key to this game is how many goals Real Madrid can score. because from the very beginning of this game, Real Madrid's tactic is to attack. Use a fierce offensive at home to suppress the opponent and completely defeat the opponent, use a big victory to boost the morale of the team and restore the confidence of fans and the media. So Mourinho sat in his seat with a calm face, showing a signature confident face. 10 minutes later, Mourinho was standing on the sidelines, because he found out he was wrong. It was so wrong. Ye Luo is too active. Every time he takes the ball in the front court, he seems to be able to create a threat. Arbeloa and Harvey Alonso both received yellow cards for Ye Luo's breakthrough. In the number of shots, Ye Luo completed 3 shots in 10 minutes, all 3 hits were within goal range. Fortunately, they were all long-range shots from outside the penalty area, and Cassie saved all his shots. But the embarrassment of Real Madrid's defense when facing Ye Luo was also noticed. Ye Luo. Another long shot from 27 meters away from the goal. Wow! The speed of the ball is so fast. Cassie probably felt a chill when he threw the ball. Cassie might have scored this ball with a little wrist strength. On the TV screen, Ye Luo's shot just now is being played back. This is after taking the ball near the center circle and turning around. He directly dribbled the ball to the front of the penalty area and kicked the goal directly. The reason why he had so many long-range shots was because Real Madrid were pressing up and attacking. And the 2 defensive midfielders basically it's all pressed to the front of Malaga's penalty area. So once Ye Luo has a chance to get the ball, he will directly face the defense. Out of guard against Ye Luo's speed, several defenders of Real Madrid did not dare to rush too hard, fearing that Ye Luo would use his speed to overwhelm him, so he could only stand still and keep retreating, which gave Ye Luo the opportunity to hit the goal one after another outside the penalty area. Unfortunately, the shot was saved by Cassie. It seems that it is really not easy to break through Cassie's goal with a simple long shot. For a shot like the one just now, if it is placed in a youth team game, almost no goalkeeper can complete such an extreme save. Ye Luo thought about the positions of Ramos and Pepe, although they are retreating, but the positioning is obviously very particular. They gave up the only shot line, and Cassie happened to be on that line, so this is not to say that Cassie's ability is really strong enough that Ye Luo can shoot no matter how he shoots. The extent to which it can be archived, but that he has a tacit understanding and cooperation with his 2 central defenders, so Ye Luo's 3 consecutive long shots outside the penalty area were all resolved by him. La Liga, sure enough, it is much more difficult and challenging than the youth team competition. Mourinho on the sidelines is no longer calm. The threat of counterattack brought by Ye Luo is too great. He had to make a targeted defense. Soon, he called Kite to his side. Don't go up and assist too much. Protect the back line. Kite nodded repeatedly. The pressure brought by Ye Luo has made Real Madrid players have to pay % attention. The purpose of letting a defensive midfielder like Kite retreat is to form a defensive depth with the back line. It makes it impossible for Ye Luo to get a shot directly outside the penalty area, and at the same time prevents him from using his speed to rush. Mourinho's adjustments quickly paid off. Kite saw through Malaga's attempts to find Ye Luo directly after stealing the ball several times. He cleared the ball before Ye Luo. The game seems to be slowly entering the rhythm of Real Madrid. The cheers of the fans at the Bernabéu were louder than louder. On the court, Real Madrid continued to attack, almost completely compressing Malaga's defense in the half. Ye Luo in the frontcourt was like a kite with a broken string, and could not get support from the backcourt at all. End of this chapter. Chapter 29. The cheetah running wildly on the green field. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Real Madrid's offensive line is one of the best in the world. Cristiano Ronaldo on the left, Di Maria on the right, and Higuain in the middle. Behind the 3 of them there is a midfielder with super organizational skills, and at the same time there is a midfielder like Harvey Alonso to control the game rhythm. Facing such a luxurious offensive line, any defensive line in the world would be under tremendous pressure, let alone Malaga. Malaga's old captain Arnaud encountered a very severe test at this time, game number 12 minutes. After receiving the ball from the wing, Ronaldo cut in and shot, and Arnaud struggled to save the ball over the baseline. In the subsequent corner kick, Ramos headed the goal and the football went slightly wide of the goal post. The visiting team fans in the stands were so shocked that many home team fans even started cheering and celebrating the goal. Game number 14 minutes, Real Madrid's offensive is back. Di Maria dribbled the ball from the wing and made a cross. The football bypassed the heads of the defensive players in the front and center, and Ronaldo, who followed up from the back, leaped high, overwhelmed the central defender with a header and smashed the ball towards the goal. Arnaud reacted almost subconsciously. Reaching out to block it, the football hit Arnaud's hand, bounced upwards, hit the crossbar and bounced back into the penalty area. Higuain in the penalty area took a shot and sent the ball flying. The Real Madrid fans in the stands let out a sorry gasp. Ah! What a pity! The commentator of the local radio station in Madrid yelled regretfully. That's the way. That's the way. We are Real Madrid. We are going to attack at the Bernabéu. Attack! 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 In the stands, the Real Madrid fans were also chanting, "Attack is the blood of Real Madrid." It is also the scene that Real Madrid fans like to see most. Malaga is very passive now. Duan Xian, the commentator of Longwa National TV, said with a little anxiety, in fact, he is still a Real Madrid fan, but in this game he always unconsciously favored Malaga. Of course, the reason is just to hope that Ye Luo can have more performance opportunities in this game. After all, Ye Luo is now the only seedling in the 5 major leagues of Longwa football, but unfortunately, for a few minutes, Ye Luo didn't appear on the camera, the man most often on camera during these few minutes was Malaga goalkeeper Arnaud, and what about Ye Luo? In fact, he is also trying to find ways to help his team. For example, he chooses to retreat to a deeper position, and expand his range of activities, looking for opportunities to catch the ball as much as possible, but this way, he is farther away from Real Madrid's goal, and the threat will drop a lot. Real Madrid's defensive players returned to their own half when they saw Ye Luo. 2 Real Madrid fullbacks simply came up to participate in the attack. There are 2 fullbacks stretching the width. Real Madrid's offensive threat appears to be greater. In just a few minutes, Real Madrid got consecutive shots. Game number 18 minutes that Xavi Alonso tried a long-range shot from outside the box and the ball bounced off the shoulder of centre-back Manu Torres. Ronaldo, who was nearby, immediately raised his arms and patted his arms to signal the referee a handball, but the referee firmly pointed to the corner flag area, and the hit on the shoulder was not counted as a handball. He patted his shoulder as a signal. Then Real Madrid's players pressed up to prepare to participate in this corner attack. Ye Luo looked back at himself. It is found that the 2 fullbacks Marcelo and Arbeloa of Real Madrid are dragging behind. Arbeloa also stood in a defensive position honestly, but Marcelo looked eager to try. This is a fullback with a strong desire to attack. Ye Luo thought. He quietly moved his position closer to the defense zone where Marcelo was. When the corner kick is taken, Marcelo pressed a few positions, trying to grab a chance to shoot from outside the penalty area. However, the corner kick sent by Iker was picked off by the attacking goalkeeper Arnaud. Just when Arnaud was about to delay the time with the ball in his arms, a loud roar was heard. Team leader, Ye Luo pushed forward while roaring. Ye Luo's Spanish with a Longwa accent is too recognizable. Arnaud didn't even have to look up to hear where the voice was coming from. He swung his right arm for the first time. Chilean arm, who has been single for 20 years, struggled to shake. The soccer ball came out of his hand, moved forward at high speed, and crossed the center line. Real Madrid's corner kick is too close to the goalkeeper. Arnaud took the ball. Throw the ball directly. The voice of Andres, the narrator of Corb Radio, rose suddenly. Ye Luo. It's Ye Luo. Oh oh oh. Marcelo chased him wildly. As a result, he chased farther and farther. So fast. Yellow. Yellow. Under the gaze of the TV camera, Ye Luo turned the ball around and pushed the ball forward. The speed accelerated to the fastest in the first time. Everyone who saw this scene couldn't help but focus all their attention on the boy who was running forward with the ball. His jersey was pulled by the air. The teenager is brave and fearless. Side rear, Khedira throws herself out. It was a tackle for a yellow card, but for Khedira, this is the last defense he can do, because he knew he couldn't keep up with Ye Luo's speed, and the timing of Arnaud's counterattack launched by throwing the ball was very difficult for Real Madrid players. When the ball comes out, Ye Luo is surrounded by no one to guard. Marcelo pressed up to attack, there was a big gap in his defensive position, and Kite covered the defense quickly enough, but there was still no way to plug the hole in the first place. So he can only come directly with a sliding shovel. This is a one-shot deal, either the defense is successful, there is a high probability that he will also get a yellow card, either. All he could do was watch Ye Luo dribble away with the ball. Ye Luo. Duan Xian stared and clenched his hands. Countless Longhua fans in front of the TV reacted similarly to him. Next moment, the extremely tense mood immediately relaxed. When Kite shoveled over, Ye Luo continued to move forward like a character in a football game who held down the accelerator key, and his speed suddenly picked up again. When he rushed over, Kite, who was shoveling over, only shoveled the air. He slid his body against the turf, his eyes fixed on the back of Malaga's number 41 player. At this time that I am in front of him, there are only two Real Madrid players left, Arbeloa and Casillas. But behind him, Ramos and Marcelo are chasing wildly. But for Ye Luo, he only has goals in his eyes. Go forward with the ball and never go forward. The body undulates, like a cheetah running wild in the African savannah. Under such momentum, the faces of Real Madrid stars, for the first time, panic appeared. End of this chapter. Chapter 30. Your name is Saint Cassie. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mourinho stood up abruptly from his seat. When Marcelo pressed up and was eager to participate in the attack, he felt something was wrong. But at that time Real Madrid's offensive momentum was too good, goals seemed to come at any moment, so Mourinho didn't have much reaction, because he has a hunch that Real Madrid's goal will not be too long, but that's the way football is, just for a moment. The situation has taken a turn for the worse. Ye Luo suddenly got a chance to fight back, although he started to dribble long distances near the center line, but in the corner kick opportunity just now, both of Real Madrid's central defenders went up to participate in the corner kick attack. Now the only players in front of Ye Luo are Averoa and Casillas, and worse, Arbeloa even had a yellow card on his back, and he didn't even dare to foul. Mourinho stared at the boy from Longhua running wildly with the ball. His dribbling rhythm and running posture always make Mourinho unconsciously overlap with a certain Brazilian fat man. This made Mourinho even more irritable, because if it is really that Brazilian Ronaldo in his peak period, such a chance is almost a high probability of scoring a goal. Ye Luo. Ye Luo's chance to fight back. Here comes. Duan Xian was shouting. On the TV screen, Ye Luo was already facing his first opponent, the fullback Arbeloa, who was dragged to the back to defend. Ye Luo's first goal was cut in the defense of Averoa, and now, he's in a true one-on-one matchup with Arbeloa. There seems to be a rope no longer than 1 meter between the football and Ye Luo's feet. His running and dribbling are in a perfect balance, neither slowing down his running speed nor letting the football get out of his hands and let opponents find opportunities to steal the ball. Ye Luo controls the football freely. This is the talent he got from the system, but you have to bring out your talents, really create a threat, and score goals. It also requires a brain that is thinking all the time and a grasp of the situation on the court. He is also watching while dribbling, observing Averoa's defensive position, also observing Casillas' position, obviously, while constantly retreating. Averoa blocked Ye Luo's route from rushing directly to the penalty area. He also turned his body slightly, deliberately shielding his right side from the air, and tempting Ye Luo to break through to the right. This is pulling the line. Moss chased back. Ramos is not slow either. After all, he was once the main player who played Real Madrid's right back, so once Ye Luo moves diagonally to the right, Ramos can take the opportunity to narrow the distance between him and Ye Luo. And Averoa can also take the opportunity to continue to drive Ye Luo to the side. Ye Luo saw Averoa's movements. He wants me to go to the right. Ye Luo didn't know what was going on behind him. He didn't have time to look back, so he can only quickly think about the other party's intentions in his mind, so as to make his own decision. Between lightning and flint, Ye Luo quickly made his own decision. He flicked the ball to the right. Averoa was overjoyed when he saw this, and immediately posted it with great strides, ready to force Ye Luo to continue to the direction of the right sideline. Ramos and Marcelo, who were chasing behind Ye Luo, were also overjoyed. As long as Ye Luo's speed slowed down a little, their chance would come. Sure enough. Seeing this, Ye Luo was also overjoyed, and the movements under his feet were not slow at all, a sudden buckle of the right foot. This action surprised Averoa. This kid wasn't fooled. He is playing tricks. Averoa slammed on the brakes and had to adjust his center of gravity to regain his defensive stance. However, the moment he braked, Ye Luo pushed the ball forward with the arch of his right foot. Averoa watched the football pass from his crotch. He stretched out his hand, trying to make a last-ditch pull, but when he thought of the yellow card on his body, he hesitated for about a few tenths of a second, but it is this hesitation, Ye Luo has already roared past him. Putting the crotch. Oh. The crotch is amazing. Ye Luo passed Arbeloa. One-handed ball. The only opponent Ye Luo faces now is Iker Casillas. Andres is on the commentary stand in the Bernabéu stands. He saw this scene very clearly. Averoa deliberately let go of the right, tempting Ye Luo to go in the direction of the right sideline. This is a huge temptation for any striker, because where there is space, as long as it can pass, it will be flat. But the perspective of the commentator Andres in the commentary booth is the so-called God's perspective. He can see the specific situation. If Ye Luo goes to the right, his oblique line will most likely collide with the straight line of Ramos and Marcelo, who are chasing back. Once Averoa, Ramos, and Marcelo complete the siege of yellow, even if Ye Luo is Maradona alive, it will be difficult to complete this counterattack. But Ye Luo came up with a plan. He made a gesture to pass the ball to the right, and then a sudden stop of the spike made Averoa lose his sense of proportion, and at the moment when he stretched out his foot eagerly to turn back, Ye Luo pushed the arch of his right foot to complete the crotch pass. Wonderful. Andres couldn't help but be overwhelmed. A lot of young players have talent, skill, and speed, but it takes 1 or 2 seasons of professional league experience before he can truly realize his talent. Of course, there is also Hu Zhongyong, who can't adapt to the professional league and thus disappears from everyone. Forward. Ye Luo now only has the goal in mind. Casillas was the final hurdle. He strikes quickly. When Ye Luo caught up with the ball again, he has already arrived in front of Ye Luo. It's not easy going solo, especially when the goalkeeper has come in front of him and blocked almost all shooting angles. There is a statistic that many fans may not be aware of: penalty kick rate, more than 60%. However, the single-handed goal rate is only more than 40.00%, much lower than the efficiency of penalty kicks, that is to say, solo goal. Much harder than scoring a penalty. Just, at this time, Casillas faced Ye Luo. It is Ye Luo who has, % of the strongest skills of the 3 Ronaldos at their peak. Ye Luo's left shoulder sank forward. Casillas was unimpressed. Really? Ye Luo turned to the right. It's now. Casillas made a judgment and rushed to the right. Good flutter. Ye Luo raised the corner of his mouth. It's all fake. He didn't give up his center of gravity at all. When Casillas rushed to the right, Ye Luo calmly smashed the ball and roared past from the left. Subsequently, push with your left foot. The football is rolling across the goal line. This is the pendulum. The pendulum pushed the empty goal. The ball is in. No matter what country the narrator is, at this time, they were all dumbfounded. They coincidentally remembered the Brazilian who uses this signature move a lot. End of this chapter.